How does the Democrat Party exploit this blind obedience or blind loyalty in their fundraising and rallies?
Well, people come to rallies to be together with other people, to show that they are part and parcel of the group. This is the animal psychology. I want to be part of the group. Mm-hmm. And they go to these meetings and they cheer. When I speak up at communities where I'm invited to speak or invited to debate or be part of a forum, I'm booed. Here I am, a Jew, speaking out for Israel, speaking up for the survival of the Jewish people, and I am booed because I have the audacity, the nerve, the chutzpah to speak the truth. I want these people to think for themselves. Don't belong to the Republican Party. Don't belong to the Democrat Party. Think independently. Think of your kids, your grandkids, and the future of you in this country and the future of Israel. I want them to be independent. I don't tell them join the Republican Party. I say think for yourself, do research. There's a story. Can I tell you a story? It's a bubamanza. In Yiddish, a bubamanza means a fairy tale. I tell this to groups. My father comes to me in a dream, and he says, Alan, I have to apologize to you. And I said, Dad, apologize for what? He says, I have to apologize to you that in the late 30s and early 40s, I did not speak out for the European Jews. I did not speak out. But I wasn't told about it. Senator Lehman, Bernard Baruch, Rabbi Wise, the leaders of the Jewish community said nothing. They kept it quiet because President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the God, told them to be quiet. So I didn't speak out because I didn't know. But the Jews of today have no such excuse. They have the internet, they have the Wall Street Journal, they have speakers like Charles Krauthammer, people who tell the truth. Even Fox News, they listen to Fox News, they get the truth. But they don't watch Fox News. They have no excuse. So my father leaves me with that thought, his apology, but a warning to the future of Jewry that they had better wake up, because now they have no excuse for avoiding reality.
Is it racist, in your opinion, to challenge Islamism and radical Islam, Islamic fundamentalism?
Not at all. Not at all. It's not racism. It's reality to challenge radical Islam, and it's stupidity not to challenge the person who wants to kill you because you're an infidel. I'm an infidel. I don't look at Christians as being infidels. They have a religion of their own. I don't want them to look at me as being bad because I'm a Jew. Mm-hmm. But Muslims, if you go into the Quran, if you read the Quran thoroughly, and I have, you have hundreds of references to infidels, Jews and Christians, as being sons of apes and pigs. Mm-hmm. Our heads should be severed, cut them off from the shoulder, cut off our right hand and our left leg, as punishment for being infidels. This is the religion of Islam. The people who are peaceful adherents to that religion, fine, but where are they? Where in this country do you find Muslims standing up and saying, we are against radical Islam? We don't. We have Jews who are willing to stand up and say, we are against Israel. Mm-hmm. We have Christians who say, Catholics who are willing to say, we're against the Pope, with no fear of being repudiated or being battered down. But where are the Muslims in this country who say, we are against this radicalization of Islam? Mm-hmm. We'll stand up for the Jews. Mm-hmm. We'll come into their temples and tell them that we are for them. But there is total, complete silence. And we Jews, when I say we Jews, the majority of Jews accept this silence and make excuses. Well, they can't say it because if they say it, they'll be thrown out of their mosques. Well, let them form another mosque. Let them form a mosque of peace. Mm-hmm. We have here in Boca Raton, the Islamic Center of Boca Raton. 2 of its founding members are in jail for terrorist activities. Its imam, his name is Imam Ibrahim Dramali. He was deported a couple of years ago for terrorist activities. This is a mosque right here in our community, in Boca Raton. And yet we have rabbis within our community telling Jews of their congregations, go visit the mosque and learn about Islam. Do I want to learn about Islam from a terrorist mosque? Where are the mosques formed by the peaceful, Muslims who denounce ISIS, who denounce the Taliban, who denounce Hamas, Hezbollah. Where are they? I don't find them.
There are groups like Zuhdi Jasser's American Freedom and Democracy, AFID initiative, but he's largely marginalized by the larger Wahhabist.
Not only is he marginalized, Zuhdi Jasser, the doctor, the Navy veteran, has a death sentence on his head. We had him here a couple of years ago in Boca to speak at a house. It had to be secretly planned. We couldn't put it out on notice, come to this meeting. This was privately held by invitation only because he has death threats. But where are the other Zuhdi Jassers? Where are they? I don't see them in universities. I know Rashid Khalidi, the good friend of Barack Obama, is a Jew hater, Israel hater, and a supporter of terrorism. He's teaching at Columbia University. You have Edward Said, who had the seat at Columbia University before Rashid Khalidi. He also was a Jew hater. He had a seat in the university, and he was promulgating his hate to his students. If I were a Jewish student sitting in Professor Edward Said's class and I spoke up against him and I got an F, that would go on my transcript. How will that look on my application for a higher degree, a PhD or a master's degree? So I keep my mouth shut and I let these professors have their way. But where are the Muslims in this country? I want to know where they are. Could you name any Muslims on Barack Obama's staff who are not Muslim Brotherhood members? Huma Abedin, I don't know if the people watching know who Huma Abedin is. She was, when Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State, she was a top aide. She had access to all of her private, confidential memos. And she was Muslim Brotherhood. She worked for the Muslim Brotherhood.
Her mother?
Her mother is in Arabia. She is the head of the Muslim womanhood, or whatever you call that, in Saudi Arabia. She's a head of a college in Saudi Arabia. Her brother is a Muslim Brotherhood leader in England, and Huma Abedin worked for the Muslim Brotherhood herself. Was she cleared by Congress? What kind of clearance did she have? Was she vetted for credibility? Was she vetted for security? Not at all. They are now in our government, and no one says anything. If you had a Maya Kahane JDL member in a cabinet, there'd be a hue and cry, a hue and roar from the Jewish community. Get that radical Jew out of there. A JDL member, Jewish Defense League member. But Huma Abedin and the others who are serving in Homeland Security, they're there.
What would that bode for a Hillary Clinton presidency? Also the fact that the William Clinton Foundation, since Hillary is no longer Secretary of State, is now accepting donations from Arab countries, Muslim countries, not just Muslim potentates.
Well, when she was appointed to be Secretary of State, I said, how could you be Secretary of State and be partial to the United States when her husband, Bill Clinton, was a worldwide businessman traveling to all of these Arab states, getting in money? There was a conflict of interest there. And where was the American public? Where were the Republicans in Congress to stand up and say, you can't have this woman here as a conflict of interest? Her husband is raking in millions from these states that support Arab terror, and she's going to go out and deal with them? How can she deal with them impartially when she's dependent on her future income by the money going into the foundation, which is now named the Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, and Chelsea Clinton Foundation? They changed the name. So, but the Democrat voter, the rank-and-file Democrat voter, will push this aside and say, that's meaningless. She's a woman, she's outspoken, and she's a Democrat. The woman factor, the Democrat factor, will have people vote for her tremendously. I don't think it will sway any Democrat from voting against her, sadly.
What are the long-term risks for the United States and Israel in the case of another, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Elizabeth Warren, a female Democrat candidate?
Well, I don't want to talk about them as female Democrat candidates. We don't talk about any male candidates, with the adjective male or female.
But people wouldn't vote for a candidate because he was a man.
Well,
People might vote for a woman.
if she runs against a man, of course, the National Organization of Women, unfortunately Hadassah, National League of Women Voters, they will all support her because she's a woman, regardless of what she stands for. But Hillary Clinton, I believe, is worse than Barack Hussein Obama. She harbors anti-Israel, anti-Jewish feelings. Proof? In 1982, she was a president of a group called the New World Foundation, with the headquarters on West End Avenue in New York. They gave Yasser Arafat $15,000 in cash. Mind you, this was 1982, when the PLO was still a terrorist organization. Remember in the talk in 1999 when she was in Ramallah, Palestine, when Suha Arafat made a speech saying that the Israelis were poisoning the water and the air, and Hillary Clinton nodded, went over and kissed Suha Arafat at the end of the talk, knowing full well what she said. Next day when the duty hit the fan, Hillary said, well, I wasn't getting an accurate interpretation from her Arabic, which was nonsense. But she backed away from that. She still became Senator of New York with the Jewish vote in New York City. She still was Secretary of State with the support of the Jewish voters. And if she runs for president again, sadly, unless there's some strange occurrence, which I don't think it will be, the Jewish voters, especially the women, will flock to her. Prior to Barack Obama getting the nomination back in 2008, Hillary was in neck-and-neck run with him, if you remember. And all of the women I spoke to and all of the Jews down here in South Florida were totally for Hillary Clinton, against Barack Obama. As soon as he took the nomination, they swerved. They all voted for Barack Obama. So the Democrat voter will vote for whomever they put in.
How do you feel about the way that AIPAC has been managing Israel's best interest relative to the Obama administration?
Well, AIPAC is supposedly the umbilical cord between Israel and Congress and the presidency. They are supposed to take the Israeli view, no matter what it is, conservative or liberal or what, whatever the Israel line is, they're supposed to pass it on to Congress, and they're supposed to lobby Congress. They're basically Israel's sole lobbying group in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
AIPAC has been politicized. A couple of years ago, the president of AIPAC, I can't think of his name right now, Lee Rosenberg, or Rosie they called him, was the head of AIPAC. I was shocked to read that he was also a chief bundler and fundraiser for Barack Obama in Chicago. Now, why in the world would they put this guy in, no matter how qualified he was, if he was so partisan, politically partisan? Why did they put him in? Evidently, the power of the Democrats within that organization put him in power. And I do believe that they are still leaning to the left. The Kirk-Menendez bill last year, which was supposed to put severe sanctions on Iran if they broke the January 2013 treaty. The Kirk-Menendez bill was up in Congress. AIPAC initially supported it, but when the Barack Obama team got to them, they quit. And they said to the senators, vote against Kirk-Menendez, and they let it drop. Now they're back again with another Kirk-Menendez bill, which they're supporting. So in Yiddish, there's a term, nicht daher, nicht dahin. They are not here, and they are not there. I basically don't trust them. There are other organizations like the Zionist Organization of America, Americans for a Safe Israel, you have CAMRA, and you have Stand With Us. They are inflexible. They support Israel totally and completely. AIPAC has been politicized. However, they are a big moneymaker, and the people who run AIPAC are dependent perhaps on the Democrats for their businesses. Maybe it's a business deal. I don't know. I suspect them.
You're suspicious of them?
Well, I suspect them of switching sides dependent on who's in power, Democrats or Republicans. I don't really trust them. It's terrible to say, but I must say that.